I think we're live now, so good evening, everyone. My name is Councillor Michael Jones. I'm leader of Crawley Borough Council, and I'd like to welcome everyone to this month's instalment of Crawley Borough Council's live Q&A on Facebook. You probably notice I'm sitting on my own. In a change to the advertised programme, sadly, Councillor Bob Noyce is a little poorly, so won't be able to join us tonight. However, I would like to think that I'm suitably well informed on environment and other related issues that I will be able to give some answers. So welcome to everyone. As always, I would say keep your questions coming in. Don't be shy. That's what it's here for. If there's no questions, I am always forced to assume that you know everyone's more or less happy, and I will use the time to talk about things I've been doing, which I'm always very pleased to do. But saying that, it might not be as useful for you if you've got questions and you want them answered. So, as I said, keep them coming in. My elves are in the process of getting the questions bar to me, so I can look at everything. Nothing in at the moment, but so what I will do while we're waiting for questions coming is to deal with some of the advanced questions. Lindsay wrote in and said, it would be good to show the council working together rather than picking a Labour councillor. Why not have a Conservative councillor with you? Otherwise this looks like the council isn't working together and is one-sided. Well, in all honesty, Lindsay, the object of these question and answer sessions are to talk to the people who run the council, and we have a Labour administration at the council. The cabinet comprises Labour members of the council, and that's because we won an election and we've got a mandate to run the council, and that's what we're going to do. There's certainly nothing to stop any councillor to do any sort of question and answer session that they'd like to, and they're using whatever medium they're free to do so, and I certainly won't discourage them. But clearly, I'd like to think you'll get a reasonable and balanced answer, and you know, it is one of those things. Hello, Dan. Dan. I will answer your question shortly, but yes, the question answers have been going on monthly now for some time. They were there was certainly one last month. I'll come to your question in a moment, but I've had another advanced question, which is people dump all sorts of waste, household, building, etc., in street bins. Can a label be placed on bins specifying what can and cannot be put in these bins? The same for dog waste bins. People put animal waste and other things from home in these bins and then they're overflowing. Labels should state that the bins are for dog walkers' use only and no other waste is allowed. Remind people with animals at home to double bag the waste and put it in the home waste bin. Hello, questioner. I really don't disagree with you. I think we really do have to ask some people to exercise some responsibility. I think we could look at labelling the bins. Unfortunately, I think some of the prime culprits who are doing this aren't know precisely that they shouldn't be doing this. But I would really emphasise as well that if people do misuse the dog bins, for example, that can get very unpleasant very quickly. For a lot of people, please only put dog waste in the dog waste bins. They're not big enough to take cat litter or household waste. Dog waste bin labels are coming. This was something that came up from previous discussions and Q&As, and we are working on. They will have the bin number on and the what three words reference, which will improve the accuracy of reporting. We've also had signage made, which will be displayed in the areas where the dog waste bins are being misused. And the neighbourhood services team have also carried out leaflet drops in these areas, and there are more to follow. But again, it is definitely well worth making the point. If you do have dog waste at home, then it can be double bagged and put in the domestic waste at home. You don't need to go out and fill our bins. That's for dogs that are being walked that have done it there and then, to save you the unpleasantness of having to carry it around for too long. While we're on waste, I'll answer Dan's question now. Could you give me some more info regarding the government cutting funding for refuse collections? This is a reasonably long and slightly complicated answer, in the sense that the government has announced that they're going to make the council do various things as part of what they call their national waste strategy. Now, the government doesn't tend to fund councils for waste collection at all. What they might do, if we're lucky, is give us something towards all the changes that will actually be needed. But actually, they're going to start saying things like you must collect in a certain way, and you must do it in a very prescribed format. I'm not terribly happy about that. I don't like being told by the government what standards we can apply, particularly because up until now we've had weekly domestic rubbish collections, and I'm talking about now we're being told, I think, we could be forced as a council to go to something less than that. However, if we did do that, we would retain a weekly food waste collection. Things will get a bit more complicated. Although the good news is that when it comes to recycling and things like that, you'll still be able to retain the one single sort of red top bin. We have increased funding last year to support the staff pay increase. Fortunately we've got very good relations with our contractor, and there's and a good record on industrial relations as well, I should add. So it is it isn't quite that way, but what is clear though is that what the government is going to ask us to do is going to be more expensive. I don't think I'm misrepresenting that. And at a time when they're not particularly keen on giving the council any money to actually fund local services, in fact quite the reverse, it is an additional pressure that we could do without. Dan's got a follow-up question. If the refuse collections are government funded, then why were residents asked to choose? Well, I think I've explained this, Dan. That they're not government funded, and we did have a stark choice in terms of none of us, myself included, came into local government to start cutting services, but unfortunately the continuous pressures of local government finance, and that has involved a lot of money being taken away by central government in terms of what they used to give to councils. It means that we've year on year we've had to deal with ever decreasing budgets, and that's meant we've had to make some tough decisions. Now, you've mentioned the Crawley, the supervised adventure playgrounds. The adventure playgrounds stopped being supervised, but what we've actually been able to do at Cherry Lane, at the Mill Pond, and obviously you know all too well with the Mill Pond, is we've been able to at least deliver something which provides good quality equipment that's available all year round, and outside of closing dates. Dan's asked, you're saying we are losing the weekly collections anyway, or possibly could be forced to stop weekly collections. As far as I'm concerned, the Crawley Borough Council is not going to change what it does until we are forced to. But I suppose what I am telling you is that in the next 2 years or 3 years, the government has told us we have to change, and everyone nationally will have to change to a far more prescribed way of delivering the service. There will be some flexibility in that, and there'll also be an interim period because, as you can imagine, every council being told they've got to sort of get a new fleet of refuse vehicles and things like that. There's only so many factories in the country that can produce these things, so there will be some flexibility. But I feel quite frustrated about it. I think Crawley is, like a lot of London boroughs, it faces the sort of issues where going anything less than a weekly collection would be extremely could cause serious problems, and we get pointed to a lot of far more rural sort of based districts, and they say, oh, they have no problems there. Well, that might be true to an extent, but they don't necessarily have the same situations we do. So hopefully hopefully that is a reasonably informative summary of the situation that the council faces on all these things. If not, we've still got time for me to clarify. And I can see the elves as well have put some helpful information on what the place service offers across the borough, and I would like to stress that we're still very proud as a council to the sheer length and breadth and locations of play equipment that we have across the borough. It's something that we've made a real point of ensuring we've invested in and maintained over the years. In fact, recently and right across the borough, so not just the big central places like the Memorial Gardens where there's a fantastic play area, but also places like up in Pounds Hill, the Wakeham's Green Drive. There's it was the most recent one, there's more to come. There's more to come in West Green and Bewbush coming up after that. I don't think this is news or a big announcement, but Northgate Park for those of our residents who've been raising that, it is on the list. So rest assured, we are working on it, and if anyone ever has any issues, I know someone Ali raised a few issues a few months back about the Ditchling Hill play area. We have very committed members of staff in Crawley Wellbeing and the play service, and they spend a lot of time inspecting our play areas. And rest assured, they would not let anything go on that wasn't up to the right standard or safe. So. Right, so after that, we've had a few questions to start with. Please keep them coming. Just a few bits of news, things I've been doing since everyone saw me last month, because I know you never miss an instalment. Earlier this month, we had the Remembrance Sunday service and wreath laying at St John's Church. That's a time where many people from right across the community join together. It's always a moving ceremony. My thanks as ever to the Reverend Steve Burston and his parish team, and all at the Crawley Civil Military Partnership, who every year make this a big, memorable, well arranged event. Thanks to Paul Ferber and everyone involved. I also had the great pleasure, as part of that, to go to the dedication to the new flag banner, which has been bought for the Veterans Breakfast Club, and will be paraded at future events, and was at the service, which has been obtained through support from Crawley Borough Council and our Mayor Julie Hart and her charity. So that was excellent. So we've got that. Actually, going back to bins for a second, I should encourage everyone. There's great news, hot off the press. Our elves have only just finished printing it. You can download your bin collection calendar for the next 12 months, including the changes at Christmas, Easter and bank holidays, from our website at crawley.gov.uk/collection days, all one word. Yes, always a burning issue around this time of year when we start thinking about how things go slightly out of sequence over the Christmas break. So if you want that, you'll be able to go onto our website at that address, and you'll be able to get that. So that's really good news. Yes. There's I'll just mention a couple. I'll come to events in a moment that are coming up. But another thing I had a huge amount of pleasure in attending this month was the Diverse Crawley banner unveiling, which is if anyone's not seen it, it's a really fantastic piece of artwork, a sort of tapestry almost, really, which has been put together to represent all the nationalities and cultures of Crawley that there are in the borough, and if we've missed any, then there might be another banner in the future to incorporate them as well, and all the neighbourhoods that we have, and it's very nice. As I said, you can come and see it. If you come to the new town hall, you go to the main hall. It's up on permanent display. And as I said, it was a lovely ceremony we had where it was unveiled, and Diverse Crawley commissioned local artist Sam Murray to create the banner to mark the 75th anniversary of Crawley, which I'm sure many of us remember. And it was displayed at festivals and events during the anniversary year, and it's now up at the town hall. They got fabrics from community members and their countries of origin and culture right across the country, and it also features words of congratulations in more than 30 languages, which are captured in the side panels. And the piece represents a visual timeline from 1947 to 2022, with Crawley's 14 emerging neighbourhoods appearing on the banner as coloured ribbons as you move higher up and later into the Crawley's time with us. So that's very good. Dan has also mentioned. I'll mention that now because I don't want it to get lost in the questions scrolling up. But there's a big switch on tomorrow at Kilmead, all in aid of autism support Crawley information page. So if the elves have got a link to that, if there's anything online, then I'm sure they'll put it up. Dan, if you've got a link to anything that people can look at for more details, that would also be appreciated. So got a couple more questions coming in. I'll just mention another important bit of news before I go on to that, and that is that the community grants applications are now open. So if you're a voluntary and community organisation working in Crawley, you can apply online for strategic grants of £5,000 or more from the council. The council awards grants to organisations for new or existing activity that benefits the people of Crawley and demonstrates well-defined outcomes. So proposals selected for funding, including matching funding or a contribution, will be able to provide a local project or service supported by the council from April 2024. This is our big grants budget. This is strategic grants budget, as we call it. We do have the small grants budget, which community groups and voluntary organisations can apply for, and charities up to £2,500. But they're available all year round. But the bigger ones are available once a year, and this is the process that we've begun to start it. The council is particularly interested in applications for support for help with the priorities identified in the funding policy. The amount is the policy is there, so is online. So I'm hoping maybe the elves might even have a link to it. I'm sort of challenging our elves to find things on the website now. But organisations intending to apply should read the policy and contact the council to discuss an outline proposal. They need to also apply by no later than Friday the 29th of December. So when you finish with the turkey, make sure you haven't forgotten that. There's a couple of questions from the James and is it June as well? Can't see June's question. No, James, which is, will we be getting printed sheets showing the collection dates over the Christmas period? There are no printed copies of the calendars. We haven't done that, I understand, at Crawley Borough Council for few years now. So the best way to get it will be online. Um, it's possible it might go in Crawley Live. It might be something to ask the elves to think about. I think the elves informed me that it does go into Crawley Live. So that will be coming, James, at some point. Okay. Right. A couple more questions. Thanks, June. I think there will be a hard copy in Crawley Live of the refuse collection calendar, but in order to sort of eliminate waste and save some trees, I think we don't tend to do it for everyone because not everyone feels they need it. But as I said, it will be in the council's magazine, so something you will be able to take out from there. Talking about trees, I think I should mention now. We had a very successful community tree planting at Tilgate Park earlier this month. That was a great pleasure. Councillor Bob Noyes joined me with many members of the community, Tamils, Ugandans, and members of the Tilgate Community Forum. We're all out with members of the council like myself, council officers, and also members of the police. And we planted. It was very successful. It was a nice freezing cold Saturday morning, but there's a compound at Tilgate Park where we planted very nearly 500 trees of 13 different species. I myself planted an oak tree, which I hope will be there for many years after I have moved on to more ethereal locations. But that was very nice. Claire's asked, why do the council not top the hedges behind Stafford Road anymore? The cycle path is really slippery because of the leaves and it looks terrible behind the houses. So we hire someone ourselves and send the bill to you. West Sussex County Council says they don't do it anymore, is that right? I think we'll have to look into that. I'll ask our elf who's in charge of hedge cutting. I'm not difficult to comment more on this. I'm not sure why West Sussex would have been involved unless it's their hedge, but we'll look into it, Claire, and see if we can do anything. Okay. We just wanted to mention we had a very successful project, which is a changing places at toilet at K2 Crawley's now open. So that's a new fully accessible changing places toilet that's been installed and opened at K2 Crawley, which will help increase the ability of people with complex needs to use the local facilities. The changing places toilets, we've had a few in other places. I think there's one at the bus station, I think, is for example, especially equipped for people with significant learning physical disabilities and their carers to use safely and with dignity. We got some money from the Department for Levelling Up Housing and Communities to install two of these changing places toilets, and additional financial support was also provided by Autism Support Crawley and Everyone Active, operated as Leisure Centre. So yes, aside from K2 Crawley, actually there's a changing place toilet at the Horth as well. So they're larger than a standard accessible toilet, and they offer more space to accommodate two carers and a person, and includes a height adjustable toilet, sink, and adult size changing bench and hoist. K2 Crawley's also got a shower. So really some attempts there to make things accessible for everyone and their needs. Okay, right. Just having a quick look at some of the questions. Gosh, there's quite a few today. Laura, is there any update on the planning permission being sought at Broadfield Nosk? At the moment, I looked into this recently, Laura. There is no there is nothing further um, to report on the application. It's still in discussion with the applicants and the planning department. There's still some issues to resolve, I can't give you any more information than that, other than that I know that discussions are ongoing. Teresa asks about the healthy tree. I'm not so sure that is as healthy as is described, but by the library, and CBC doesn't intend to do anything. Teresa, we don't. I'm fairly certain we don't own the land. The background to this, for anyone who's wondering what the question is about, is there is a site next to the library called Telford Place, which for quite some time was used as a sort of car park, but that was only ever meant to be a temporary arrangement. But there are hopes to build several hundred affordable housing on their flats, so on and so forth, and to totally regenerate a part of town that's a key gateway into the town centre. Whilst everything was looked at, there is one particular oak tree that might have to be cut down as part of the work that will be needed to do this. I can assure everyone that every alternative was looked at, which would have and was investigated to see if something could be done that could involve the development, not involving the tree getting cut down. The only alternatives would either mean that we'd have to get rid of all the parking at Crawley Library, or the road layout would have to be such that actually there would be an incredibly sharp corner, which would actually be quite dangerous for pedestrians. So I don't want to dismiss or ignore any of the concerns that people have. Part of the development is to mitigate the loss of this tree and some other vegetation, is that many more trees would be built as part of that development. Obviously, they'd be young trees by the very definition, and it gives me no particular pleasure to get rid of a mature tree in any under any circumstances, but to actually hold up or to stop this development, which will deliver much needed housing, including some quite a lot of council housing. It's while I respect people's view, and I'll listen to I'll pay attention when people protest. I don't want people to think we haven't looked at this. We simply have. We'll move on. Move on from there. So I think I've answered all the questions up to Teresa's. Keep moving down now. Let's have a look. June, yeah, I'm very confident that what I've said about Crawley Live is accurate. It's just Christmas and New Year at the moment, but I think the elves have clarified that for me while I've been busy looking at the screen. But Sam has asked, will CBC start doing food waste collections? Can you please continue weekly collections and make recycling weekly? Just to be clear, anything the government make us do will include weekly food collections. That's part of the absolute minimum. All other arrangements, we're still probably waiting for more detail from government, I think is fair to say. Claire, just a quick update on the Stafford Road question. We've looked into this, or my elves have managed to look into this while I've been talking on other things. apparently that hedge is a Stafford Road is a West Sussex County Council responsibility. Now, I hate to cop out on this, but I have no influence whatsoever with anything that the county council do. Believe me, probably negative influence in some respects. I think you'll need to refer it to your West Sussex County Councillor or West Sussex County Council themselves. You've got a very good West Sussex County Councillor, and hopefully the elves will be able to put up a link for the West Sussex County Council councillors. Also, I'm afraid if anyone's got a question about roads, then I'm afraid on highways and pavements, I'm afraid that's exactly the same thing. You'll need to contact West Sussex County Council. Much as I might sympathise, I don't have any influence over what they do. So okay. Hello, Kaylee from from Goffs. Yes, I'll see you soon, no doubt. Thanks for saying hi. Kaylee said some very nice things about the work that we're doing at Goffs Park, which I will pass back to the Parks team, who'll be very pleased you think that, and I agree with you. I think Goffs Park is a real jewel in Crawley's crown, and we are determined to do even better there in the future. Some exciting plans. So we've got that going on. Dan asked me why don't I have any influence with the county council. Well, I'm not a county councillor. It doesn't work that way. We can work with them, but to be honest with you, you know, telling Crawley Borough Council about something the county council isn't doing is a bit like going to British Telecom and saying you're unhappy with your gas supply. I mean, you know, it's really not something that we can directly influence. Yeah. I feel I've answered why West Sussex County Council need to do the things that West Sussex County Council are responsible for. So if anyone's got any more questions or comments on that, I don't think I've got anything I can add, quite honestly. So moving on, I think I've covered everything else otherwise on the chat. I just wanted to mention something that was meant an awful lot to me that also happened in the last month. A much needed housing development named after the late Raj Sharma, who was Mayor of Crawley twice, was officially opened with an on-site ceremony. Now, this is a new block of flats that's on Brighton Road in Southgate near Stonefield Close. People will probably have noticed it if they've driven up that way. Essentially, it is all council housing now. We acquired it off the private developer. It's 3 stories and it has 20 flats, which are already going. It's really where it's needed. As everyone, I'm sure, knows, is we've got a huge demand for social housing, and people needing to be housed, and Crawley is becoming increasingly expensive to rent in, never mind own housing. So this is much needed. So the family and friends of Raj joined myself, the Mayor of Crawley, Gilly Hart, other councillors and council officers to mark the official opening. Raj's wife Bhavna and Gilly gave short speeches, and it was a very pleasant and memorable event. We were joined by a few former councillors as well, including Colin Lloyd. So it was a very decent ceremony, and I must admit I thought that the standard of housing delivered was exceptional. So it's a very welcome addition to Crawley Homes' estate. So just have a quick look. With 30 questions to go, keep your questions coming in. Do we know what is going to... Visham has written in, hello Visham, do we know what's going to happen to the Morrison building and now the Wilco building? Essentially, I'm afraid not is the answer, Visham. We haven't heard anything, and also both these buildings are private property. The council doesn't own them. I think sometimes people assume that the council owns all the shops in Crawley Town Centre. We don't. life might be a lot simpler if we did. I understand that Morrison still has some time to go before their lease is up. So I don't think we're going to see much progress there for a little while. But I say that with no knowledge because the owners of the building rightly have no duty or obligation to tell me anything they're doing unless it requires planning permission. So right, so let's have a quick look through here. Sam asks, are drains under your control? They were regularly cleared of leaves, but don't appear to be anymore. Water isn't draining, and think it's adding to the poor condition of the roads. Well, we have our street cleaning service does work very hard, Sam. My elf who looks after these things is writing something down for me, but I think it's fair to say that actually quite a lot of the problem with the drains now are the water company's responsibility. There's quite a lot of blockages within the drains themselves. That's probably down to the infrastructure, quite honestly. I think I'm told as well that when it comes to the highways, things to do with clearing the actual drainage that on the roads and things like that, West Sussex County Council responsibility, and I'm not sure what our neighbourhood services clears the leaves. So, but things that are directly on the roads are probably West Sussex. So, right. So I think we're up. I've mentioned Raj, haven't I? I think I couldn't get away without giving some huge kudos to the Crawley Town Centre bids and in partnership with Crawley Borough Council for the Town Centre illumination switch on in Queen Square on the 18th of November. It was much warmer this year than it was the year before, as will be my main memory of the event. But there was some fabulous lights come on. We still do ourselves very proud in Crawley. And so if you haven't been down to the town centre for whatever reason, why not come down and see some of the great illuminations which stretch right across from the top of the town centre, around the bus station, up to the high street, and of course down to Queen Square and the boulevard. So it's really there's always some incredibly attractive stuff going on there, and I would recommend it. And again, it's something for everyone, and of course it shows part of our support to making Crawley Town Centre a really great place to come visit and shop. So thanks to everyone involved in that, and what was a very nice event, including the fire breathers. Were they breathers? They were dancing anyway with fire. So right, I don't see any other questions at the moment. You've still got some time left because the half an hour warning came out not that long ago. So keep them coming. I will mention now. I don't have a catchy jingle to go with it, but you could win your council tax for free. One lucky resident will win their council tax paid for a year, and the prize will be the equivalent of a Band D council tax for 2024 to 2025. Don't get into the quiz show game, whoever wrote that. Yes. Thanks to Crawley Borough Council's amazing prize draw. That's better. Anyone who signs up for the electronic billing, including residents who've already signed up, will be entered into a prize draw to win their 24 to 25 council tax. I say it every month, but I'll say it again. By going paperless, you'll be able to manage your accounts and receive bills online. That will save you time. It'll also save you having to hunt for hours for bits of paper, which I know from personal experience isn't the most fun you'll ever have in your life. Sending out bills electronically saves, rather than us having to send it out by post, it saves on paper, printing, postage costs, which and supports the green agenda. It also saves the council money, which we can spend on services. The council's pledged to reduce our emissions by at least 50% and as close to net zero as possible by 2030, and to reach net zero by 2040 at the latest. So you can register for electronic billing for several council services, including council tax, business rates, allotments, green bins, leasehold services, premises licences, taxi licences and Lifeline. And more services, I'm reliably informed, will be added in the future. So we've got all that going on. I haven't seen any more questions. If you have any questions, now's a good time to ask them, because otherwise I'm going to go into upcoming events, of which there's, as people will not be surprised here, Crawley has got quite a few going on. The first to mention would be the Tilgate Park's Magical Christmas, which is on. They start off with 2 weekends, I think I'm correct in saying, and then the final week before Christmas, there's a sort of mega week that the family can go any day. So it's the 2nd, the 3rd, the 9th and the 10th, and then the 16th and 22nd of December. And now that's based down at the Walled Garden, which is transformed into a captivating winter wonderland. Now, I went down there last year with Councillor Chris Mullins, and he wasn't mistaken for Santa once. But who knows when he's down there next time. But Santa's Grotto is now sold out, because it's always incredibly popular. And now I went and visited it last year, and it was amazing, so I can understand why it is. But you can still enjoy the Winter Woodland adventure, be entertained by This Is My Theatre's Christmas stories, and indulge in some Christmas treats. There's a whole fun fair that goes on down there. Lots of lovely stalls, Christmas seasonal sort of food and drink. It's definitely well worth a visit. It's always beautifully lit as well, so if you've liked the town centre illuminations, then it's definitely well worth a visit. And I think it's right next to the nature centre as well, on the opposite side. So I think you'll absolutely have a great time. And also, if you do go there, and there's half price entry to Tilgate Nature Centre on all the magical Christmas dates, on the door entry only. So you'll be able to catch our reindeer keepers talk, apparently. So yes, so that's certainly something. Yeah. So there we are. Teresa's asking about people in social housing who are doing various things. Well, Teresa, if you're aware of anyone involved in criminal behaviour, you need to report that to the police. You should also report it to the council, and if they are council tenants, then suitable action can also be pursued that way. I do not tolerate poor behaviour from it, or defend poor behaviour from anyone. Yep, June makes a point about people not having technology. I totally accept that. That's why we're probably one of the few councils in the local area that still have a facility where you can come in and pay by cash. And we are very much committed to ensuring that we have a good contact centre that you can contact by phone, and always you can come in and see someone face to face as well. So it's never forgotten. In fact, I'm usually the first person when we're discussing about how we can make things efficient, where I remind people that we still have a good number of residents who do not feel that they can access services easily in these ways. So rest assured, I am not. I haven't forgotten them, and I will not forget them. Okay. Can I make a special mention of something that I'm particularly excited about, as our communications elf knows, which is the Festive Fair at Queen Square, which starts on the 4th to the 14th of December. This is our regular continental food and craft market returning with a Christmas theme. I think what we do here in Queen Square with the council in partnership with the town centre business improvement district is absolutely fantastic, really good, and I'm looking forward to it enormously. And I think it's something that I hope it becomes an annual institution. I think when we've had it in the past, it's worked really well. So got that. I think just to mention, there's a children's business fair in Queen Square on the 9th of December. Will that be sharing room with the Festive Fair? I presume it will be. But that basically gives young entrepreneurs aged 7 to 17 the opportunity to launch their very own business, sell to real customers and make their own money. So if you want to encourage young people to start out on an entrepreneurial path, then definitely well worth going on to support that. I'll have to see if I can make it down. So we've got that. There'll also be carol singing in Queen Square. It's all going on in Queen Square, isn't it? 9th, 10th, the 16th and the 17th of December. And that's being done through St Catherine's Hospice, who will be bringing festive fun and enjoyment to the town centre. So in amongst all that, I suppose one shouldn't forget as well that at Christmas there are people in need. So and I'm afraid it's no different this year. In fact, it's probably worse in many respects. But there is a cost of living crisis. It's having a huge impact on household finances. If you're in a position to, but only if you're in a position to, please support some of our local worthy groups and charities who are helping support people in this time. But in terms of just general financial budgets and things like that, help is available. All of the available support's in one place to make it easy to find. The council's got a website, crawley.gov.uk/money worries, all one word, to find out more. So, right. So June's asked, why is more not done about hedges that are overhanging footpaths? I think, June, we try our best. We do have an issue sometimes that some of these places might well be places that West Sussex County Council need to deal with. But saying that, if you've got specific examples, if you could let me know, I will certainly direct it to the attention of our neighbourhood services team, who will be able to look into it with the patch teams and see what we can do. I'm sure in most cases, certainly if it's on CBC land or property, we will get it looked at and dealt with. But they do try to get round, but inevitably now and then something won't get done to the standard we'd all like, and that's why we've got the team there to put things right. So as I said, June, if you want to email me, if anyone wants to email me on any subject, of course, I can appreciate that you don't necessarily want to share some of the issues you have with the council to a live audience, or indeed have it on the record for time to come. You can email me at michael.jones@crawley.gov.uk. That's michael.jones@crawley.gov.uk. Make sure you spell my first name right, Michael. Don't get that wrong, otherwise it won't get to me. Thank you, Teresa. Pleasure to pleasure to answer questions. I do try to. I hope people would agree with that. But we will of course always work as a council very hard to try and make Crawley the best place to live, work and visit. It's not always straightforward, but we do try. I'm lucky to have behind me a whole magical kingdom of people who are willing to help and to ensure that services that Crawley Borough Council provide are the very best. Even in tough times, we're doing our best to deliver that. So, but as I said, you can contact the council. You can always, of course, contact the council through any means. You can email us. You can telephone us. You can come in to the new town hall. In fact, if you want to come in and see the new banner that's, as I said, displayed, then it's definitely well worth a visit. So on those grounds, if you've got any more questions, you've got a very short period of time to put them in the chat now, because we're otherwise we're going to end. I think, June, you mentioned it's against regulations for any hedges overhanging footpaths. That would be relating to private trees overhanging onto footpaths, and that would be a planning issue. I think that's another thing that has to be clarified, actually. If something is obstructing the footpath and it's growing in from a private garden, that is a lot more difficult for us to deal with, because it's the responsibility of the private landowner to actually make sure that any vegetation on their land is not causing an obstruction, isn't encroaching onto public footpaths or highways. Right. In that case, well, I think that we are coming to the end. Can I just wish everyone? Can I wish everyone a very pleasant Christmas period? Now we're entering December, and on that basis, Lyndon asked, "Does anyone actually work in the new town hall? I've never seen anyone in it." Lyndon, you have my personal invitation to come and have a cup of coffee with me, and I will bring you in, and you can meet all the elves, pixies, gnomes, the whole diverse gathering that are in the building. And apologies in advance to any of the magical creatures that I failed to mention in the rich diversity that forms part of the Crawley Borough Council. But we are most definitely here, and in the near future, when we've let out some of the other floors to private businesses, there'll be a lot more people here as well. So, but as I said, Lyndon, the offer stands. I will prove to you there are people in Crawley Borough Council. And on that note, I will wish everyone a very good evening. Thanks very much. Take care, and good night.